So let's talk about some of the songs on the CD. The one that's been probably talked about the most is Time Away. Why don't you talk about where that came from and how that sort of transpired in the process?
That one's interesting because that song, I think, it grew out of a vocal line. Oh, 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 everybody needs some time away. That line is like ridiculously catchy, and
it's hooky.
It is extremely hooky, and that's what came to my mind. I don't remember where I was, and everybody needs some time away. And the rest of the song literally came within like a couple hours. It was a matter of immediately found. It's as simple as a song can be, 4 chords, but that feel, we kind of. We're calling it a West Coast cowboy swing vibe is what that song in particular was what sparked Billy the first time when he was describing to one of his friends who he was working with. He's like, I'm working with this guy. I was like, what kind of music is it? It's kind of Oregonian cowboy music. And I was like, wow, that's cool. Oregonian, no one's ever described me as Oregonian cowboy music.
I don't think anybody's described anyone as an Oregonian cowboy, so that's your unique stamp there.
So that song, I think, is quintessentially representative of that vibe, and there is some swing feel to some of my tunes. I wouldn't call myself a swing or country musician in that way, but that feel works its way into my songs, that one in particular. But the rest of it grew out of that, and the rest of the lyrics, that's one where there are some of my tunes where I think you can really dig in and analyze, a lot the lyrics and the story that's being told. That's one that was intended from the beginning to be not overthought. It's a fun, happy song about getting out of your routine. And it's, I think the production, the parts that, took the bass line that George Reeve, who did the bass work, is really, each player in the band was writing hooks and melodies in their own parts. It's something I love about Jeff Botta, who played the drums. He and George both, I think they create as catchy hooks as anything that I'm doing in their parts. That one do 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 boom 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 is as hooky as the vocal line that George Reeve does. And several tunes like Elbow Pads is one where Jeff Botta created these total lines, these catchy rhythmic lines in the drum part that are as core to the hooks of the tune as I think anything that I'm doing. And I was really came away from that going, I want to find, when I play with people, if they're not available, I want them to be like that. They're people who are creating small little hooks that people can grab onto with their parts. It fits really well.
Well, Time Away was definitely a very catchy song because I've heard people from ages 2 to 80 singing along with that song. So it has a broad, catchy appeal.
Is that good or bad?
That is an excellent thing. So another song, one of the ones that I first gravitated toward when you first let me hear some of the demos was If I Could Sleep. So where did that one come from?
That song grew out of this bouncy groove. That came from this guitar part of. I think I was just messing around with my guitar one night. I try to do that often because it can tend to create songs that I would never come up with just sitting with a piece of paper. And that's one where I think I was literally just sitting around, I'm going to spend the next half hour doodling on my guitar. And that came up and that's kind of fun. And actually, that's one of the songs that was written while Billy and I were working together. And I just played this while he was doing a sound check on me, and he stopped and said, "What is that?" I was like, "It's a new idea."
That train here was like...
Immediately, he was like, "That's going to be a song on the record." And I was like, "Ooh,
now write it."
That's a lot of pressure. And sure enough, it made it onto the record. The sleep theme was one that is a recurring theme for me that I'm often harassed and for is my sleep deprivation tendencies. And that idea came when I was wrestling, and the sleep line is one that had showed up in my little journals that I use for writing down ideas to make it into songs, and that's one that had come up in the months previous to that lick. Once I came across the sleep, if I could sleep, how life would be so happy and not so blurry. That's what started, and I was like, that's kind of cool. But a song about sleep, is that really what I want? And several of the reviewers have and people will latch onto this as, well, the sleep song, and fair enough, I would do the same thing. But when I took that and started going, what could this be about? I've got some bouncy, fun chords in a verse, and I was like, I don't want this to be about sleep. I want it to be about something else. And so what it ended up being was a song about a girl, a song about the girl, the love that you no longer have, and the device I came up with to tell that about, the way to tell that was, the one thing I'll never use that I'm always missing is the line that precedes each of the chorus, and the decided, was like, how cooler to say what I'm missing is to leave it out. And so the rhyming lines each time, postcard, let a nice room with a view, all I'm missing is and each time your mind is saying, oh, he's going to say you, and that's what never gets said throughout the song. And I keep talking about what I'm missing is, and then what it comes back to is what I'm missing is sleep. I mean, one of the things I've really come to appreciate or focus on in my songs is a roundabout way of getting somewhere. It's one of the qualities that I latch onto when I'm listening to a song, not even just music, but novels and movies. If somebody starts with what their point is, I think we lose interest. And there, a couple of writers that have had a big influence on me on that way, and Ben Gibbard is one that I think is an amazing songwriter from Death Cab for Cutie. Another song of mine that I employ that device is called Cotton Gin, which the theme is, in some cases, I find myself writing about themes that maybe have been written about a million times, but trying to come up with a unique angle on it. And this song starts with, well, I've been thinking about the cotton gin, some true inspired reflection, how the good old days don't look so bad since the textiles moved to China. And you're like, okay, where is he gonna go with that? And that, that's very influenced by my appreciation now of this. Wherever you want to end up, start anywhere but there. Find something as far away from that as you can and make your way there. How much more interesting is that to listen to? So, what do you have next? What any new tunes? Any plans for recording? What's going on? I do have a few. I've got written, I think, maybe 4 songs now since Ostrich was finished, and so some point I'll go grab Billy and sit down and go give a little quick. I would love to work with Billy again. If he's on everyone's list of people to work with. So if he's available and still within my budget, I would absolutely work with them again. So I've got a few new tunes that I've been trying out on audiences in my shows now. Got some fun shows. I'm going to be going up to Oregon and Washington to do some stuff next week, actually. And so I don't get out of Austin very much. It's hard when you don't have a booking organization doing that stuff for you, but I try to find places where it makes sense, where I either have people I can stay with or some radio stations that have been supportive, and do some shows. So I've got several shows lined up in Oregon. One of the most interesting is a show at a foot spa venue, which I've never done before. And so apparently the deal at this show is you go, I come and play while people are soaking their feet in hot baths and drinking wine. That sounds awesome. When can you do that here in Austin? If anyone knows any foot spa places in Austin. Milk and Honey would be a great place for you to do that. Maybe I'll pitch that after my show. And I have a friend in Portland that maybe I'll send your way. Okay, to get a foot massage and serenade. Foot massage and serenade at Ashiyu. Okay, I'll tell her that. In Oregon.
Brent plays around town at a lot of different places. Botticelli's is one place that he plays, so definitely catch him. His live show is really compelling, and always brings along different musicians to play with him. So whether he's playing solo or with a band, it's always a good time, and it's always a good experience to see, you know, a pure songwriter. So you mentioned elbow pads before. I think you're going to play that for us.
Would love to play that for you.
Okay, thanks. We'll take a little break and set up, and Brent will be back in a moment.
Like Superman on my daily flight across the universe. I got my kryptonite with my X-ray eyes.